Peer observation is generally acknowledged to be a valuable means of sharing good practice and a significant weapon in any teacher's CPD armoury.
I think I might try that. Next time I do something like this, I think I'll try that idea.
OK.
All right then, so you can come back and watch me do that.
Right.
But the technique can be greeted with suspicion, and to succeed, it's critical that teachers feel comfortable with it.
The head always tells us that CPD is in our own hands. If there is anything we want to do, we go to him, we can ask.
One way of achieving this is for staff to feel that they control the process and to feel that they own the results.
People have to understand that it's a mechanism to help you improve your classroom practice, and I think that's the biggest message. It's not linked to performance management, it's not linked to any grading system, it's about you owning it.
Tells Herman, Herman tells a friend.
Staff and management at Hexthorpe Primary School in Doncaster seem to have achieved a happy state of affairs where peer observation is in widespread use, but without it creating the potential for ill-feeling or resentment. This programme takes a look at how it's been achieved and what part individual teachers have played in making the technique something which is now welcomed throughout the school.
Within our school, we've worked hard to develop a policy. We've involved the whole staff in consultation about peer observation, about what's involved, about what it's all about, what's the rationale, what do I hope to get out of it, and so on. So we make it very high profile. Never mind everybody going.
We'll also show you how the bank of programmes online at the Teachers TV website can be used to help you take the initiative in your own continuing professional development. More details later. The head teacher at Hexthorpe Primary is a fan of peer observation.
We feel if we want to have a quality environment, quality learning, we need to develop our staff to their full potential. We also encourage our staff to learn with and from each other, and peer observation is a very important aspect of this.
Staff at Hexthorpe meet regularly to discuss their professional development and share ideas.
And in the policy this afternoon, we're going to be looking at, in particular, at an aspect of it which is peer observation.
Year 6 teachers Liz and Debbie have a planned observation coming up and are encouraged to share their plans with the group.
We started, didn't we, about how children own the lesson, really. So you can have a plan in front of you, you say, right, I'm going to do this, this, this and this. And we started to think about our own talk, didn't we? And I think probably we were thinking to ourselves that we talk too much in lessons.
You know, we tried to give too much information and without giving the children a chance to explore.
I want us to look at the strategies and the opportunities for peer group, peer discussion, collaborative work, peer dialogue, that kind of thing. And how do I promote that?
All observations at the school have such a pre-arranged focus, which is agreed by both parties.
We've done a running record of full participation for the lesson. So I'm just going to say, who's speaking?
Have you told the pupils what's happening then? Do you tell them why?
I tell them because we want to improve the quality of the learning in the classroom.
It also gives children a very sort of important message, doesn't it, about that we continue trying to improve. You know, we're learning all the time.
We followed Liz's lesson and her subsequent feedback session with Debbie to see how the policy works in practice.
Right, so what we're going to do this morning is we're going to do some follow-up work on bullying. Why do you think we haven't got bullying in our school?
Because everyone's got friends, and if they're going to get bullied, they just play with a friend, so then they just stay away from people that are going to bully them.
So how did you think the lesson went in regards to what I was looking at, of how much talk time you did and how much talk time the children did?
I think I probably talked more than I wanted to do, really, but I'd be interested to tally the minutes up and see what the proportion of teacher time to pupil time was.
I think when you look back at it, You actually did less talking than I thought you may do, because once you'd done certain directed questions that you knew would get a response, the children then took over and were the leads.
Liz used an imaginary incident of bullying to engage the class in some discussion.
OK, then we've got 4 witnesses there to the incident. Can we just have some questioning, please, then, from the audience?
What would Julie was doing when you walked past? She was whispering to her friends, and then Julie was stood there just picking on her.
For me, she's been a facilitator in collecting evidence about my classroom that I'm not always aware of, and from using that evidence I've been able to reflect upon some of the things that went on in the lesson and make positive strategies for improving my teaching and learning. Right, let's do a line-up. If you agree with having a school PE uniform, can you go and stand over there? If you don't agree, can you stand over?
And when I discussed it with Liz, she'd already observed them, but just needed somebody to reinforce, say, yeah, that did happen. Well, I just made a note of who answered the questions, and it was really like a 3-to-1 ratio towards the boys.
Really? I need to think of strategies for involving the girls more in a collaborative way, but I want it to be more of like a game of netball with people tossing ideas about here, there and everywhere. Do you want to start off that side? And then we'll bounce it backwards and forwards.
It would work, because then no one could get picked on because everyone would look the same.
The school would have to pay the shop to make it and that stuff.
The observation isn't just designed to help the teacher being observed.
Just to look at how somebody else gets over something can help me think, well, I could do that. I could use that style or that strategy to get over a particular point. I think it's very, very good that you can go in and observe people right throughout the school and pick up different strategies from every person that could impact on your own teaching to make it better.
The process doesn't end at the feedback. It's formally attached to a monitoring file, a working document that staff can continually refer back to see how their practice is developing.
They're actually used to enhance and make our teaching better, so that Liz will now go away and work on strategies for getting girls more involved in the questioning and answering. And then later on I'll go back and see if these strategies have actually impacted within the class.
So how have staff at Hexthorpe become comfortable with the process?
It takes a long time, you know, for the school to arrive at a point when people feel at ease, if you like, with peer observation. And I remember saying to staff, from now on, every classroom door must remain open. You know, we want to have an open school where we're not afraid to walk in and out of each other's classrooms. And that was a good starting point.
Nobody here is afraid to go in any other's classrooms, even in Year 6 now.
Not now, Liz. Not now. Not now, excuse me.
Not now. Not now. Because the culture of the school is, I'm not afraid.
In order to reassure staff, the peer observation has a contract agreed in advance.
You have to have very clear guidelines. For instance, who owns the evidence that the observer collects during the observation? It's quite clearly stated in our contract that it's the property of the person who's being observed. So people know that it's not going to be used in a non-constructive way, and that there's no hidden agenda.
It's a difficult situation, isn't it?
Because you've got to tell someone, but while you're doing it, you can't let anyone see you do it because she might bully you. But then if she bullies you, you can just tell.
Agreeing time to have effective feedback, agreeing the length of the lesson, the focus. So if somebody's coming to look at your lesson and they're looking at questioning skills, they're not going to start in the feedback talking about behaviour in the class, because that wasn't part of the contract.
Teachers can sometimes feel threatened by the peer observation process. How has the school managed to avoid this pitfall?
Within our school, I think we've worked very hard to make it into a positive learning experience. So we talk about ourselves as continually learning, that we're on a really exciting journey learning journey.
Somebody who's had 20 years experience teaching like myself can still learn, and you're open to learn from NQTs. And I don't think you've got to feel like, oh, I've been teaching 20 years, I know everything, because that's the wrong. It's, I can learn from anybody.
To have somebody say, look, if you just focus on these two things, we can work on the rest later, it allows you to see progress and see success, which is what we're asking the children to do all the time. And so we're doing nothing different to them than what we're doing to ourselves.
If you're somebody who feels that you'd like to be observed but you're not sure how it's going to work out, it's to get somebody who you're comfortable with and just say, I'm not sure if I'm doing this very well, could you come in and watch? And do it on an informal basis then, rather than with a notebook and pen like you do in an Ofsted.
Allowing the whole staff to be involved in the development of the policy is also seen as crucial to its success.
We talk about it often, and you revise it and you amend it, and you take on board other people's ideas about how it might be improved.
Policies aren't things that's set in stone, and the way that we did peer observations when we first trialled them is completely different from the way we do them now. And so I feel that you have to bounce ideas off different people.
If you know you're going to use your literacy to teach an objective for history, maybe, then you're going to have to go forward to the person that you know is going to monitor that and then suggest that could go in the monitoring.
Idea. So that would come from the person who'd like to be. You mean, I'm doing something I think's a bit special here, and I'd quite like to get some feedback on it. That's a good idea, isn't it? Do you think we'd have enough people volunteering for it?
Yeah. If you offered treats and half days off.
Treats and rewards.
I'd like to see it develop with being more involved with other schools, because although we're a large staff, obviously it is limiting the people that you can actually work with. So I'd like to see it grow with having people from different schools come.
Management at the school are happy to offer support and suggestions where needed, but it's staff who take the lead with their own CPD.
It's no good the senior management team putting something into place, like a peer observation policy, and them telling you what you have to do, because if you don't own it, you don't work with it as well as you could.
It's about the ethos of the school, the culture of the school, where people are encouraged to take risks in their teaching and experiment with different strategies.
I've always said to staff, you think, we have so many skills and so many qualities and so much knowledge and expertise among us. If we can just sort of mobilise all that, and channel it appropriately, we're going to be a formidable force.
What I want to do is go back, and to finish off with today, I want you to...
Now there's another way to take the initiative with your CPD. The Teachers TV website has a comprehensive programme archive. You can use the search facility to find other programmes about peer observation. For instance, you can see Julia Mole as she prepares for an advanced skills teacher assessment with a practice lesson observation. There are also several other programmes about CPD, and you can build up your own portfolio online. Just click on the Teachers TV homepage and look for the My CPD tab to get started.